My name is Penelope Miller, and I'm in the film The Artist that's playing here in beautiful Hamptons. Um, I was inspired to do the film because I thought it was an incredibly daring and courageous move by a director who wrote it to want to make a movie set in the 20s, black and white, silent, about a silent film star. I'm very nostalgic. I live in a home that was built in the 20s. Dolores Del Rio is a silent film star who lived in the house that I lived in, that I live in now. And I love old Hollywood. I love the glamour. I love the look. I love watching those films. And so I actually think I was born in the wrong era, is what I think. So I would have loved to have been a star at that time, or an actress. But I was excited to be a part of it. I'm not a big part of it, but it's a movie that once audiences see it, get caught up in the beauty of it. It's beautiful visually, but it's also beautiful. It's a beautiful story, and it's moving, and it's funny, and it's touching. And I think our director, Michelle Hazanavicius, did an amazing job creating this film, and it's a work of art, truly. And I'm very proud to be a part of it.
And
Jamie Cromwell.
yes,
I was immediately attracted to it because there's no lines to learn.
There's a couple.
There is a couple. But as Penelope said, you know, it's something that would never happen in Hollywood. We'd never get offered a film like this. It would never get to first base in Hollywood, and it arrived, and it was smart. It was well thought out. He had a great plan. He answered all my questions.
Which apparently had many.
I had lots and lots of questions, and you know, sometimes you just take a chance. I took a chance with Babe. Actually, it took a chance with me, but and for the most part they work out. So this one wasn't to be missed.
and what do you think an audience would like to hear about the film that would make them want to come and see this film?
See.
Just see. Oh, there's no
See.
talking at all in the whole thing.
Well, there might be a couple little surprises.
Yeah, no,
We won't tell you.
We won't tell you.
But you hear the music.
Yeah.
But you're really
Very
you're feeling the emotion of what's going on with the actors. You're following the story through their experience.
Actually, you're creating the story.
Yeah.
The audience creates the story because they look at what's in the frame, and what this person is doing with their face or their body, and then they say, oh, so that means, like the other scene, he's doing this. So they're actually creating the story rather than being fed the story. So they're participants. So as the story does its shifts, they are surprised and entertained and delighted and nervous that it's not going to turn out the way they want it to turn out, and then it does, and they think, oh, it's a movie. So they keep on understanding that it is a representation of life, and it's a very good one and a very sophisticated one, but it is also an entertainment and a movie. So it turns out well. Nothing bad happens. The guy doesn't end with a heart attack after it's all worked out.
It's uplifting. I think people when they finish this experience, and it is. I mean, you think about looking at a painting. Everybody has their interpretation. Everybody gets to interpret their own experience and go on the journey. And so I think it's so uplifting. It's so joyful. I think at the end, the reactions that we've gotten so far from the festivals and the audiences that have seen the film are just overjoyed. I mean, they're the excitement and the adulation and the joy that comes out of them from having gone through this experience that they didn't expect, that they're surprised by, and they walk away feeling very fulfilled, I think.
We went to this party after the screening at the New York Film Festival at this incredible house on Fifth Avenue. so very sophisticated people, and someone came up to me and said she had never seen a New York audience respond that way at a picture, cheering out loud
Standing ovation.
several times in the picture, expressing themselves in their delight. And it has the effect, because it's silent, of not isolating you as an audience member and making just your experience and what's happening on the screen, but you're aware of everybody else's. You're aware
You're
that
part of it together.
you are the audience.
Yeah.
Watching an audience watch a piece of fiction occur and creating that story.
That's why you really need to see it with an audience.
Yeah,
I think
it's very
that's
important.
really important, because it's a whole experience that everybody's having together. So it makes it so exciting. I mean, I've seen it now, I don't know, 4 times. I can't, and every time I do, I think I'll just watch a little bit of it and leave, and then I can't, because I just get caught up again. I'm seeing things for the first time. You're using
So I'm gonna ask, what have you
it's a
learned?
sensual experience, because you're using senses that you don't. In a movie, you're hit with everything usually. In modern day, everything's coming at you, and you're sort of told what to think and feel. And this is you're noticing things that you take for granted now. I believe, and I think you're seeing things like the lighting and the set design and the location and the costumes and the hair and the makeup and the emotions and the feel and the eyes, and you're noticing things that and appreciating them in a way that I don't think we've had the opportunity to in a very, very, very long time. So it's reminding people why this is an art form, why we love movies, why we fell in love with movies, why the 20s are considered the golden age of Hollywood. It was the beginning, and we're being taken back and transported to the beginning and reminded that we don't need, that we can have an incredible experience without having to hear a word of dialogue.
It's also really interesting, as filmmakers, young filmmakers come up, they're so used to commercials and television and music videos and the internet that the tendency is that everything has to be quick. There are quick cuts, quick movements, short dialogue,
Right.
no examination. Here they go to see a picture that happens much more slowly and with much more detail and elongated gestures and looks and opportunity to breathe inside the action instead of having it jammed down your throat. And I think maybe it will, especially I hope for young filmmakers, say, oh, there's another way to tell the story. It doesn't have to look like a commercial. It can
Or a
look
music
like
video.
a minute. It can look like its own. It can develop its own thing based on the nature of the story. And I hope Hollywood will embrace it.
And have you learned anything personally from watching it or acting in it? Is there a lesson to be learned by this, or is it just art to be appreciated? And or have you?
I think for me, I feel like it reminded me. I mean, it's the way I've always felt as an actor, but I feel like so much is not about what's said. It's what's not being said, or it's what's between the words, or what's behind the words. And there's a way to do that, and it's subtle, and yet in this film, we still had to be authentic and true to the period. But it's so important that we have a story to tell, that we have real characters that we're playing, that our feelings are real. Because if we're not feeling, the audience can't feel it. So it was just a nice, refreshing reminder of what's important.
Is it a love story? Would you?
It's a love story.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Definitely.
and
And a
was
lot of
there
other
any-
things.
Yeah, it's a lot of
And
it.
so, did you learn anything personally through this? Is there a lesson in this,
Well,
or
it's different for different people.
but for you personally?
For me personally, it's the attention is always how much am I going to trust my instrument to be expressive of what I feel, and to get out of my head and my judgments and allow myself just to be in front of the camera, and that is enough, that I can tell the story and without flinching. So to be able to do that silently and in support, I watched, and there's some things I wish I could do again, but there are many moments that I'm really pleased with. So, and there's no way to tell, because you don't have any dialogue, you can't hear the word. We hear what we say, so we know how we inflected the line. We know whether that made sense or not, and we may say, "Oh, that stunk," or "That was pretty good," which of course usually interferes with the next moments that you have.
Right.
But when you're doing acting silently, you have none of that. You have to completely trust that the director who's watching it and who's watching the whole frame, not just the star, he's watching everything else, because everything in the frame tells the story, and he says, "No, it's perfect, it's great, beautiful."
And you knew, and we were able, I think, to really trust
Sure.
Michelle. I think
Wonderful.
we knew immediately if he was happy and if he had what he needed,
Yeah.
and we trusted that, and that helped a lot. He had a
Terrific.
strong vision.
Thank you. I can't wait to see it. And have you spent time out in the Hamptons before, or is this your first
I think I've been
foray?
here a couple times. I don't know about you, but it's
First time.
beautiful. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
we want to know
I've
what
been
your
invited.
opinion is.